So this one now is going to show you how to build the 3D model, when you should be focusing on detail elements in the 3D model and when you shouldn't, so that you can save some time. And really there's a handful of reasons why you would build a 3D model, not just for, you have to do it because the assessment says so, but really finding times where it's almost needed to allow you to expedite the process of potentially producing drawings or renders or diagrams for whatever reason. And I'll show you in the next couple of circumstances when you would need to build something in high detail and when you could kind of fudge it and really just build what you need to. Yeah, so the first questions you ask yourself is, why are you building the model? And what are you really trying to gain out of this model? There's a handful of things, a handful of reasons as to why you'd be building a model. So you might be building it to generate perspectives, a series of perspectives for your project. So you need to build in 3D and you need to materialize, and then you may need to bring that into a third-party renderer, or you can render natively within that 3D program. Are you building a model potentially just for yourself, to evaluate a space in 3D? And your 3D skills are starting to really get quite strong now, and they'll consistently build as you're moving through the degree. So you'll become more fluent in these programs, and maybe it's quicker to build something in 3D than it is to go and cut something up through Boxboard. Although we shouldn't abandon those things. It might be easier just to quickly model in 3D to give you a good understanding of 3D space. And so if you've been working in plan and section, it could be really great for you to evaluate your space in 3D, which is why you build the 3D model. But then from that 3D model, you might also try to generate diagrams or drawings or things to help you communicate visually something to your tutor or to your peers or to a client, that really nothing else that you do could allow you to, like a sketch really couldn't communicate that. So this might be also a reason why you build a 3D model. Again, like I said, to generate drawings. So let's say you're building something in Revit, then you're wanting to put in a lot of detail into that Revit model to get the most out of your drawings. And when you're also wanting to design a detail, maybe you're trying to show a 3D detail, and I will discuss in that circumstance, how much should you actually model? So the important part is to understand the purpose of why you're building the model before you do it. So in this way, it's the best use of your time, and really time is super important. Right now as a student, I could definitely say that a lot of people are time poor because of, assessments and other things. You're still getting used to the workload. That definitely balances out, but I remember it being intense at the start. But yeah, so now really the important thing to know is, how can you utilize your time the best and not to get bogged down too much in the heavy detail? So are you building a model to generate perspectives? In this perspective here, we see a room that has a chair, some hanging suspended lights, etc. But really, that entire render was this one single room. And so if you know or have an understanding of what it is you're trying to render, then really all you need to do is build that. You don't need to build a gigantic, huge model with 5 or 6 rooms when you know you're only getting this content out, this one single render, because you're never really going to be showing that model. At the end of the day, in your pinup, it's about what we see in front of our faces. And so in this way, it means, one, you can concentrate and put more detail into things that you're generating for the assessment, like this one perspective. And yeah, ultimately it saves time for you as well. So you can put more detail into one space, and you don't have to waste time you don't have to waste time building an entire space where really all you're trying to do is get this one piece of content. So in this circumstance, I think I did a sketch. I had an idea in my head, made a sketch, and then built a 3D model off that. So you could almost work in the same way. If you're feeling very, like you don't need to do a sketch, you can just jump straight into the 3D program because you're feeling really confident, and do so. The only thing I would say there is that think it's important to sketch or document the idea first before you jump into 3D, in case you jump into 3D and you get bogged down with something that you're having difficulty doing. Like you don't know how to add a light in this certain area, or this thing's rotated weirdly and now it's stuck there forever and I can't figure out how to change this. So I'm searching online to try and find people who've had similar issues and have resolved this. So I think it's important to document before you actually go jumping into the 3D program. So yeah, try to really isolate areas and put the detail only into the rendered views, because that's what you're seeing when you're producing these perspectives. And this is in the circumstance of producing perspectives. Again, are you building the model, to evaluate space that you've designed, to understand it further in 3D, or to use it as a learning or communication tool? So maybe this is all the same project, showing how potentially this mass block on the image on the far left, how it sits in the landscape, and how that landscape potentially is designed around that in terms of its stages and its levels. And then we're also showing in a diagrammatic image on the right-hand side how the circulation works throughout the interior. So yeah, in this circumstance, really, you can see on the far right image that all of the interiors are not designed. And so really, all you really need to do for this one is to mask the house and create the stair and extract two sets of drawings, one in line work and one with just the stair isolated. And then they've combined those two layers in Photoshop. But really, they haven't designed or done the interiors for every single room there. Really, for this diagram, they just needed the stair and the shell. So immediately that cuts out a lot of time. I just think it's really important for you guys to be thinking about this now, because we really do, and I remember as a student, and I've seen it with other students, as we get very bogged down in stuff and building parts of the model that people will never see, and it's just a big waste of time. So yeah, I hope that helps. Sorry, just really quickly reading what I wrote here. Are you trying to, yeah, again, another image of a specific diagram, more or less what I had said previously in the other sets of images. The only difference with this image is that you're looking at a site map here. So really the level of detail you need to go to is, you're wanting to, if you've extracted this in 3D, the site, and then you've obviously someone has overlaid a graphic over the top in Photoshop indicating all of this, the orange in circulation, the green showing green space, etc. Maybe the orange indicates a transit line, but that's all been done in Photoshop. But before that, there might have been, a plan made or a 3D model generated. And really, in a sitemap circumstance, you don't have to design the interiors for those buildings. And I know to some people this might sound really not useful or relevant, like they knew this. But I just wanted to show this image as well as an indication to say, you can actually just, when modeling the site, model the masses of building objects rather than going into detail, because really the detail we see here is just a block of that house or of that building site. So ask yourself, again, if you want to generate drawings, this would be the circumstance where I think you would put probably the most effort into your 3D model, because you're wanting clarity out of your drawings. So in this circumstance, building the 3D model, I would say this is where you put the most amount of detail, because through your plans and your sections and your elevations, we really want on your axonometric drawings, we really want the most detail that can be captured within that drawing or within that drawing scale. And when I say drawing scale, like let's consider this one here, a 1 to 200 plan. What's really important here is you can see, we have general room layouts, we know where beds are, loose furniture, we got fixed joinery as well. What else? Door openings. So we understand the shapes, the overall shapes, the door openings, the windows, fenestration. We see loose furniture, we see fixed joinery as well. What we don't need to capture in a 1 to 200 drawing is, maybe in the kitchen area up in the top left, you can see the joinery carcass. We don't need to see the construction detail of how that's put together, because really, if you put all that detail into this drawing, the line weights and line work will come through far too dark and will confuse the drawing. Like, that's too much detail for a drawing at 1 to 200. If I start doing all of the little detail lines inside that joinery carcass at a 1 to 200 drawing, then it's just going to come out as really dark black line work, and yeah, just be too much for this drawing. So also know your scale and how much detail you would need to put into a certain scale of drawing. And so really at 1 to 200, like I said, room sizes, fenestration, door openings, furniture, fixed joinery. And then there's also circumstances where you may need to design a detail for the project. And so in this circumstance, you're really just needing to capture that one part of the model or that one part of the drawing. So different to the 1 to 200 plan, where we need to capture the entire scope, we're zooming in here on a specific part of the project, and a lot of work will obviously go into that detail, but that means you don't need to model the entire space again. What you're really needing to model is just the part that you're capturing. And so here we see an image by MDG on the left and Julen Altuna. So just a detail here showing how a wall system and a window system and cladding might work. And really, that's all the information that needed to be produced for this drawing. So just really think about, how much do I need to model? How much context do I need? In a detail, hardly any context. It's really, we're zooming in to see how these two surfaces, or how something connects, or etc. So yeah, hopefully that helps around 3D modeling and when to model the entire site and when not to. Good luck.